Assalamu alaikum to all of you and good evening. And I'm absolutely delighted that you have come here. I wish it was one of those Ramadan events that we are here to meet, greet, and feast. But unfortunately, it is a cataclysmic moment in America's history that is bringing us together. What has happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, is not a run-of-the-mill event. We have witnessed many of those events in the last 2 years. In fact, I came to America in the 1990s, and I remember that there was more violence then than there is now. There was the David Koresh episode, churches were being burnt and bombed in the South. There was lots of violence going on in the United States. But this is different. This is, the way I want to capture what happened was that if you looked at and read about the old Ku Klux Klan events, the KKK was ashamed of what they were doing, so they wore masks and hid their identity. But now white nationalists, in this age of social media, when everybody has a camera, they are not afraid or ashamed of what they're doing. They're performing on a global stage. Every one of them who was involved in violence in Charlottesville knows that there are thousands of cameras. It'll be on social media. Everybody is going to see. And that was the point of this. This was not just an act of violence, but it was a performance of violence. And I think that is the biggest, scariest thing to me. As a country, unlike most other countries, America is not a nation state. It is a multicultural state. We come together as different people, and it is because there is an environment in the country which allows the best of every race, the best of every ethnic group to thrive that America became great. It is when we allow the best of everyone to thrive that we become great. And it is not because we are allowing one group to dominate the other. Nevertheless, as a colored person in this country, as a Muslim minority, I recognize that the biggest group in America is the Caucasian group. It is the values of white Americans. It is the hard work of white Americans, the sacrifice of white Americans, which made America what it is. So if America has to be great, it is very important that the white American community remain on the right path. And therefore, white supremacy and white hate groups are so dangerous because they are really causing a cancer in the heart of America. It's like saying when you have a chain and say that racism is the weakest link of America. That is the problem. It will break the chain. But the fact that white Americans are the strongest link in that chain, we now have a kink in the strongest link in the chain. So that is the scariest part to me. That is the strongest. It's like saying you have a match and your best player is sick. Guess what's going to happen to the team? And that is the scariest thing that I saw in Charlottesville. That if white racism were to spread, then it will really hurt America far more than racism by Indians or Muslims or Japanese Americans or Asian Americans. That is the point that is important for us to understand. The second thing that I would like to say is that when I saw what was happening in Charlottesville, my first reaction was, oh my God, next time it will be with guns. Next time it will be with guns. And unfortunately, we have to prepare for this. And so the question that we are posing to all of us here today is, has racism become the biggest national security threat to the United States than anything else? Yes, the Koreans have nukes, North Koreans. Yes, Russia is meddling in our democracy. Iran may be threatening us. They are far away. They may be threats, they are far away. ISIS can't get to us. But this is right in the heart. And I'm sorry to say that I'm also sorry to say that there is sympathy for this movement in the White House, and that is the biggest problem. So it's like saying that we are today as Americans facing the biggest battle that we have fought since the Civil War. But this time, unlike the War of Independence, when we had George Washington, unlike the Civil War, when we had Abraham Lincoln, in this battle, we cannot trust our commander-in-chief. We do not know whether our commander-in-chief is with us in this war against racism. So with those opening remarks, I want to open this forum. We have people from the law enforcement who are going to come and talk to us. Our first speaker is Special Agent James Martley of the FBI. He is the director of the Joint Terrorism Task Force. After that, Major Dan Meadows will speak, and then we have a representative, Mr. Prettyman from the Department of Justice, and then we will listen to you. We will listen to all your voices and your comments and your input. There's one thing I wanted to say. My wife just walked in, and I was giving a talk, and she raised her hand and she asked me a question. And I came home that day and I told my mom that I saw a girl today, I'm going to marry her. Because I fell in love with her, and it was love at first sight. So my mother said, what if she's not a Muslim? And I said, I don't care. Anyway, a long battle later, we got married and we came to America, primarily because it was an interfaith marriage. And then one day, after 9/11, I realized something amazing. I said, I fell in love with my wife at first sight. But I actually fell in love with America even before first sight. That's why I left my country, my culture, my family, and came to America. And believe me, I may be new to this country, but I fight just as hard to preserve what is best about it. Thank you.